So good evening and welcome to our new midweek late night market overview trading session. I'm joined by Bilo, the former bear, and he's going to start off by taking us through the Bitcoin chart and what he sees and what he thinks might happen over the coming week. Good evening, Bilo.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to have you here with us for another session. We'll start off with the usual overview. We've had a grand cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by an ABC, followed by an accumulation, a channel, and then we're back down. I'll do a little something different today. Followed by an ABC, followed by an accumulation, a channel, and then Pumpeye.
Hello.
You may want to mute someone. I think their feedback is...
Sorry.
That's okay.
They've just muted themselves.
I'll do a little something different today. I'll actually draw this for you so you see how we arrived at these Elliott wave counts. I'll just go to a different chart. And this is the different chart. So if everybody remembers, we had this Black Swan event in 2020 for COVID. We had this massive drop from about 9,000 all the way down to 4,000. So giving it a few days to adjust itself because this was unforeseen, we could start a new wave count somewhere here. We don't have to be precise. It's in the past, but it's just going to help you guys understand how we come up with these figures. So this would be wave 1. This would be wave 2. This would be wave 3, this would be wave 4, and this would be wave 5. So what's interesting is wave 5 is what's referred to in Elliott wave theory as an ending wave diagonal, and I'll explain why. So I've done this explanation before, but every wave is actually 5 smaller waves. So wave 1 is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. Wave 2 is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, and so on. And then wave 1 of 1, and the cycle just kind of repeats itself inside of itself. When we're looking at wave 5, we're also looking for 5 waves. So in this case, what we see is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will put this in a smaller scale so that we can differentiate the large cycle from the smaller cycle. So as you see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is called an ending wave diagonal because wave 1 is the longest wave, and then the waves actually get shorter. And what happens in a situation like this is you actually end up seeing this rising wedge. And a rising wedge in trading is generally a bearish sign. The other thing is, while we were making higher highs, we were making lower highs on the oscillator, on RSI. So as you see here, we're making higher highs, and you look at the bottom, we were making lower highs. So this bearish indicator of Elliott wave theory ending wave diagonal, coupled with this bearish wedge, which is basically a triangle pointing upwards, guys, and the decrease in the slope for the highs made by RSI, all called for the same thing, a massive drop. Whenever you end a major wave sequence with an ending wave diagonal, usually you'll have a massive drop. Now, what didn't help, and just was bad luck, or maybe it wasn't, maybe it was orchestrated that way, is around this all-time high period, if you recall, there was the Elon tweet saying that Tesla would no longer be accepting Bitcoin, which led to a lot of fear. There was a lot of not really new news, but news that a lot of people had not heard before coming out of China about limiting the miners and the miners having to shut down and move out. And then there was the IRS news coming out of the United States about anything over 10K being reported, and just created this cascading effect of a correction, which when you see a correction this large, Part of it is pure TA, but the other part of it is stop losses getting hit over liquidations until you kind of hit a bottom. From a TA perspective, it's very interesting to see that where we bounced is approximately exactly a 1.618 extension. It's a very key figure in TA. And what happened after that is we were inside of a channel, which is now commonly referred to and accepted by most people in crypto as the Wyckoff accumulation channel. So the Wyckoff accumulation channel and the Wyckoff theory, it's something you can look up, guys, if you're interested, but it's a model of how markets work. And once you enter the channel, there are key points to follow. And in this case, Bitcoin followed them quite well, with this here being what's called the low volume sell-off. It's like a fake out, and then the market coming back, doing a test, and then taking off again. We covered all this in past videos while it was happening, around the zones of 28 to 30, while a lot of big names in the industry were calling for 20, 19, 18, and 15. We were saying that we felt, I mean, this was our opinion at the time, that this was the bottom and that we were going up from there. And we were happy to see the price to actually go up from there. So I wanted to explain to you a little bit more. We do these intros all the time without kind of re-explaining to everybody how we got there, but this is basically the explanation. Knowing what I just explained, it's very interesting to notice that this channel, the Wyckoff accumulation channel that we broke out of, we're actually just testing the top right now. So a few of us have said that we are overall bullish on Bitcoin, despite the fact that we did not make a higher high. I mean, the all-time high was at 65. We went up as high as 52 and have been coming back down since. But we're still overall bullish on Bitcoin because of the following reasons. One, we're testing the top of this channel. That's significant. Whenever in trading anything, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Apple shares, it doesn't really matter. Once you break out of a consolidation zone, a retest of that zone, the top of that zone in this case, if you're going above it, and the bottom of it if you were below it, is an important event. And it's an event that's looked at by many in the market in order for them to decide what comes next. So this right now explains why this 41 level, 40 to 41 level, has shown itself to be decent support for the time being. We're going to discuss both bearish and bullish scenarios, but for the time being, I thought it was interesting for you guys to see why this channel is so important and why the top of this channel is something that a lot of people are going to be looking at. The other thing that's very interesting, guys, is if you notice here, this was the top of the previous grand cycle wave 3. So again, we're looking at Bitcoin through, I'm not sure which exchange I'm looking at right now, but it's Coinbase. So there's Coinbase, there's Binance, there's KuCoin, there's hundreds. So if I was to take a look at this chart at, through Binance, it'll look a little different. This wick might be a little longer. This one might be a little shorter. All this to say that the exact number is not important. The region is more important. So the region of the previous wave 3, coupled with, as you see here, we retested and failed. Same here. Here it was a fake out, came back in, and we've been retesting it ever since. It's reasonable for us to conclude, guys, that this zone right here is an important zone. So I'll just draw another line. So this here is an important zone for us to keep an eye on. Now, based on what I just said, in that a zone is not necessarily a line, let's make it into, give ourselves a little bit of room for error, because wicks are a dangerous thing when you're trading, and sometimes a wick can wipe you out. So let's call this here an important zone for us. So a little bit below, a little bit above. So it would be reasonable to say from between 40 to 42 is an important zone for us to see what's happening. And that a drop below that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to hell, but that it's time to maybe evaluate and see what comes next. And that's what's important, guys, when it comes to TA. It's not about predicting the future. It's about analyzing what's happening right now and then outlining the potential possibilities of what's to come. A few weeks ago, we posted a chart in the CS channel calling for a potential of 38K, and I'll explain why. So breaking out here, this would be our wave 1, this would be our wave 2, this would be our wave 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I could adjust these a little bit, but it really doesn't matter for the purposes of this discussion. As soon as you finish wave 5, and I'll just illustrate this here on the side, this is typical Elliott wave theory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll put it in numbers instead of Roman numerals because I don't like Roman numerals. So to some of you listening, this might be very basic, but to others, it might be brand new information. So I thought maybe this could be a bit more helpful. As soon as you finish an Elliott wave cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the cycle is not finished before there's the correction. The correction is referred to as A, B, C. This is a typical Elliott wave cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, and now a new one starts. Could be to the upside, could be to the bottom side. Again, as I mentioned, each wave is a set of other waves. So inside of wave 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same goes for wave 2. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same goes for wave 5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So waves 1, 3, and 5 are referred to as impulse waves, and waves 2 and 4 are referred to as corrective waves. And corrective waves are ABCs. So you'll see now how the cycle repeats itself in that wave 2 is actually an A, B, C. Wave 4 is actually an A, B, C. So if you see this, well, now you can go into wave 1 and draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to do it, but you can see how complex this can get and how it's this never-ending cycle of waves. And counting waves is a field of itself. It's a huge field. I'm not, by any means an expert. I do know a little bit about Elliott wave, and I use it in my TA and in my analysis. It's been very helpful to me over the years. But there's a lot to learn, and it's very complex and has a lot of rules. But it's nice and important to be able to, see a chart, zoom out of the chart, and kind of find these waves and make sense of things. And I hope this illustration here has helped. And there's something coming as soon as I finish my TA for today that I'm going to turn over the screen to Pumpeye for something he's been working on. And what I just explained is going to help you to understand that as well. So as I mentioned here, after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have an ABC correction. So here we've had our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, what comes next is an ABC. So if we do a measurement on the ABC, an ideal target, guys, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't always work out this way, but an ideal target for an ABC is when you have a Fibonacci extension from A to B to C of 1 to 1. Okay, 1 to 1. So I'll just change colors so I don't confuse my viewers. So this white Fibonacci extension is an extension between A, B, C. So the ideal target for wave C is about 38K. And that's what we shared a couple of weeks ago in CS. Notice how when you're looking at something, you also want to see, is there anything else that helps concur that this could be a good support zone for wave C so that we don't continue dropping down? You'll notice that it's pretty close to where wave 2 on this previous smaller cycle ended. So we had a bounce here. And if I was to turn on the VPVR, which is not on right now. Let me just turn it on. So VPVR, very, very, oops, that's not it. I don't know what I just turned on here. VPVR, silence, okay, I don't know what that is. Let me just turn that away. VPVR, very simply put, guys, when you look at volume at the bottom, it just shows you for that candle how much volume there was. When you're looking at VPVR, as you can see, there's volume bars on the right. These volume bars, they don't tell you what happened for that particular candle. They tell you what happened, how much volume there was for that price range. So it's really interesting, because if a particular price range is interesting, for example, if this right here is an interesting price range, it meaning that there was a lot of support or a lot of resistance or a lot of buy orders or a lot of sell orders on it, what's going to happen is you're going to see more volume bars come out from the right. So when I zoom out, and it's called visible range for a reason, it's because within this visible range, what's the area that had the most support or the most resistance is what you start looking at with these bars. So if I zoom into this chart and I zoom into the area that I want to see, which is between here and here, I want to get everything to the left out of my view. Just 1 second, let me just do it. Okay, we see that the biggest support we have just before wave 3 is here at 33.5. But we see that at this zone right here, as soon as we drop below 41, there's all this band of support. This is a huge band of support. And the reason we see this huge band of support is this price action, this price action, this price action, this price action here. All this makes for all these volume bars. So the way to read this and the way to look at this, and I'll just get rid of this here. I think I made the point with this. Let me just get rid of it. I'll get rid of these extensions so you guys can see it clearly. I'll get rid of this wave count. So the volume profile shows us that right here, there was a pocket. So we can see how we can drop from here to here because the resistances, the supports are getting weaker and weaker and weaker up until we hit about 41K. So from a bullish perspective, we have a ton of support below us because there was a lot of price action here. Previous price action is denominated today as support if you're above it, and it's resistance if you're below it. It's really that simple. So there's a ton of support below us, with the biggest support at 33K according to VPVR, which VPVR, again, it's not a magical tool. It's not an algorithm. All it does is it shows us that at a particular price range, there was a lot of interest, a lot of buying and selling. So top of the chart, top of the channel, aligned with the top of the previous wave 3, aligned with the top of the new cluster of VPVR, all these things point to we possibly are at a local bottom and we might be going up from here. This is the bullish scenario, guys. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to go up right away. This could mean, if on the bullish side, meaning that we're not dropping more, that we're going to, maybe do something like this. I'll just for fun, I'll draw it out. We're going to do something like this for a little while, and then maybe go out. This could be what's happening, but what's important is to see that there's a lot of support below us. Now, this is the bullish scenario from a macro perspective. The bearish scenario from the macro perspective is, once you zoom in here, and I drew it a little bit earlier, I'll draw it again, or I'll move into the 4-hour time frame so you could see it better, is that we have this ABC, which could possibly have not finished its formation. Because, as I said, the perfect target for the ABC is 1.1-to-1 extension. And a 1-to-1 extension ABC brings us down to the 38, which is, I don't think I drew that right. 1 second. Okay, I'll just do it again. brings us down to around 38, which, as you can notice from here, very quickly, very easily, is an important zone, because we had some reaction here, we had a reaction here. So again, we don't draw the line. We're not that precise. We don't really, we're not going to pretend that it's one line that's going to make a difference. Let's call it a zone. So this is another potential support zone and a potential bounce for this ABC to be a perfect ABC. But just notice that even if we were to go down there, going back to the daily chart and just fixing it up again, and looking at the VPVR, we have, even if we go here, the support actually gets bigger. So even if we were to make it down here, you see this curved nature of these volume bars. As you go down, they get longer and longer and longer. It's because the deeper you go down, the more support you have. So I just really don't expect a crash. Psychologically, people were, everybody was on hopium here. Bitcoin was making crazy higher highs, went from 13 to 60 like as if it was nothing. And people were just going in and in and in. And then this flash crash happened. And flash crashes happen when there are a lot of long positions, in this case, long positions, that just get liquidated. And when a position gets liquidated, all that means is now that there's this liquidity that was forced onto the market, and it forces the price lower and lower and lower until it reaches that bottom, that balance. I find that it's interesting that it was exactly 1.618, but that's, doesn't really matter for the purposes of this discussion. But that's what a flash crash is. Now, the fact that there was a recent flash crash, the fact that Bitcoin fear index, let's call it, is actually, it's more on the fear side right now. From a psychological perspective, people still didn't forget the pain from this drop. People are in pain from this last drop, not a huge drop, but they're in pain. I don't think that there's a lot of extremely over-leveraged positions at the moment, which would result in this flash crash that I just explained as a reason. The reason for a flash crash is overextended liquidated positions. So for that reason, for the fact of the reason that we have a lot of support below us, I'm not too worried if I see Bitcoin go to around 38K. I'm not, it wouldn't worry me, but it wouldn't surprise me. I would like to see this channel hold up, the top of the channel hold up, but it wouldn't make me bearish to see us go down here either. So that's my perspective, guys, on Bitcoin and how I'm looking at it. I wanted to share this with you. And I wanted to share with you one more thing on this chart that I find interesting, is that when we look at a chart, we tend to zoom in. We tend to just, all of us, we tend to kind of do this here, what I just did here. And we're like, oh, it just looks like shit. It's just going down and down, and where's the end? But if you zoom out and you go back to this and understand that this cycle that ended at 64K actually started here around April of 2020. And when you do a Fibonacci retracement on this, you'll see that we barely even touched the 618, which is ideal in the world of trading. Even at 28, hitting the 618, I mean, you can't get more of a perfect bounce than that.
It's absolutely perfect, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And so this just helps put things into perspective for people that are overall bearish on Bitcoin. We had a massive run from April all the way to April of 2021, a massive run. So this correction, although it was an extended correction, although it was a massive correction, flash crash, whatever you want to call it, still very reasonable when you look at the run from here to here. And in trading, 618, we're always talking about 618. 618 is called and referred to as the golden ratio. The golden ratio, because most of the time, let's say you were to trade purely based on 618 in a meaningful time frame, I mean like not in a 5-minute time frame. Most of the time, if you was to put a long order, every time you were above 618 and you were to put in a buy order if the price reached 618 and go long at 618, I would say 6 to 7 times out of 10, even if you do it blindly, you'll end up with a winning trade. The opposite is true. If you're below it and you put a bet that it's going to go down, so let me just kind of draw that for you. If you're the price of this and you did a Fibonacci retracement from here to here, because now the price is going back up and now the price is doing this. If you were to place a short here, 6, 7 times out of 10, you'll come up with a winning trade. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to do this. It just means that most likely it's going to be rejected here. It might very quickly turn back up, try again, come back down, go back up. I mean, we don't know. But the point is here, in this case, we bounced. We didn't just hit it and then continue back down. We had a major bounce. We did the accumulation phase of the Wyckoff accumulation theory. It's a theory, guys. You can Google it. You'll see it. It's identical to what happened here. It's just amazing. And it's going to form part of what Pumpeye is going to present, something he's been working on. And it's quite special. So, yeah, that's it for Bitcoin. Few things to keep in mind right now. I mentioned these channel. I mentioned the channel. I mentioned the levels. I mentioned not to be so hooked on a particular number. Like it's not this number exactly, it's the zone that matters. The reason for that is because you have hundreds of exchanges and the prices are intercorrelated somehow through bots, because you can't have Bitcoin at 30,000 on one exchange and 35 on another. That used to happen back in 2013, 14, 15. People would just arbitrage Bitcoin all day and make a killing, because there was such a big difference between exchanges. That doesn't happen anymore. It happens maybe for a split of a second, but then the bots come in and they fix it. So the zone is more important than the line, guys. So yeah, what was I saying? So there were 2 lines that were talked about also in the past. I'm just going to draw them again, just for you guys to keep your eyes out on these 2 lines. One of them was this line here, and connecting the 2 tops, and we broke above it in August. Now we have a new one. We have this here. So it would be nice from a bullish perspective to break above this line. There's obviously going to be, and there always is, not that, we're going to freeze here, come back down, go back up. We could just go right through it. But I can guarantee you that as the price is coming here, you will see people psychologically kind of like wait and see what happens. And it's going to be one big order to move it up or one big order to move it back down, and everything is going to follow. So it's just something fun to keep your eyes on. It's very easy to follow. You can go on your charts, connect the 2 dots, and there you go. You have yourself, a line of resistance that's easy to follow and can guide you in terms of the bullishness of the market if we make it above it, or the bearishness of the market if we get rejected at it. I think with this and what I just explained, I'll turn it over to Pumpeye. Like I said, he's been working on something very special. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And then we'll go back and analyze other charts. Go ahead, Pumpy. I'll just stop sharing.
Okay, so following on from what Bilo has said then, this is a line chart to make it a lot easier to see exactly what's been going on for the past, well, near enough a year. The top part of this chart is the Wyckoff accumulation or Wyckoff distribution chart, that I've taken from the previous area of chart and I've overlaid it.
Sorry to interrupt you, Pumpy, but you have some frequency resonance in your background. I'm not sure if it's from you or somebody else.
It's either that or you're hoovering.
No, it's definitely not me hoovering. I'm not that talented. Bear with me a second.
Okay, I think it was Philip.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Right.
go ahead. So,
Let me just, sorry, I'm just bringing back up a couple of things. Okay, so the top part of the chart we have here, this is the Wyckoff distribution chart, which I've taken from the previous area between, I think it was around about October of 2020, and actually ranging through to now, so, or to roughly now, just before this drop at least. And I've brought this over and across for you to see that from the, I think it was the 21st of July, yeah, from the 21st of July, where we've started moving up in what was the spring of the, after the Wyckoff accumulation, we've then come up and we're basically in almost an identical pattern of what this previous Wyckoff distribution is, which is then called a Wyckoff redistribution. And as you can see, where we've dropped down here, we've come down into that Wyckoff accumulation, which is also called a Wyckoff reaccumulation if it's a secondary smaller part like it is at the moment. So where this original Wyckoff distribution took quite a lot longer, I've squashed up the chart a bit so that it fits with where we are at the moment, which in essence all I've done is basically make that time span shorter so that I can gauge to have a rough idea of where we're going from here. And it does appear that we are pretty closely following the original pattern. And so from here I'm kind of expecting that if we do go down a little bit more, which is possible given the original chart, we have a lower point here than the previous low, then after that we'll see a rise up. So if I'm correct, and if this does follow pretty much an identical pattern, then as we come up we should be able to perhaps take some profits here when we come up to the top, because let's face it, most of the altcoins are dominated by Bitcoin, and you'll find that as Bitcoin comes up, most of the time, unless it's an extreme rise, then you'll find that the altcoins also have that chance to breathe and to come up as well. So there's a good opportunity here as we come up to take some profits, and then maybe buy back in a little bit lower, accumulate some more coins, as that's what realistically what we're all here to do for the moment. I've shown the progress overall, so for the entire cycle of the Wyckoff redistribution to reaccumulation, and then to where this part here is the spring. I don't know what's going to happen from there. It's possible that we could continue in a similar cycle, but hopefully not. Hopefully we'll from this point onwards we'll start to see some parabolic movement. But that entire time cycle would be gauged by what we've done so far, would be 86 days, which takes us to the 15th of October, which interestingly the 18th of October is when a lot of the Bitcoin ETFs are supposed to get answered and possibly to be approved, hopefully. I don't know exactly what that will do to the trading of Bitcoin, because a lot of institutional money like to short, because it's a lot easier to make money when you're shorting than it is when you're longing, because once you've started to short, you get that cascading effect that we've all seen as we've come down every time, that all of a sudden everything's red and it comes down so much quicker than it goes up. So it's a lot easier to make money as a short than it is to make money as a long, even though Bitcoin has the tendency to go parabolic. We are, or actually, let me just move this because that's no longer true. We are 70 days of the 86 days of this entire cycle along. So we could perhaps suggest that if we're going to go up on the 15th, then that would be the ideal time, probably the time when we're all feeling the absolute max pain, I would imagine, but the ideal time to buy in, to be able to make some decent money from that. Now, Bilo was mentioning that we had various different lines that we've crossed, support and lines of resistance. So here I've got a line of support that has been drawn for Bitcoin in this rise during the Wyckoff distribution or redistribution, which as we've broken that's now become invalidated. But we can also draw our previous line of resistance that I called the most important line in crypto, came down like this. As we've broken through it, we've come through, and then we've come down, and we've tested it as support, and then we've carried on moving up. Well, I would hope that we're going to do something similar here, and if we draw a line from here to the next point down, then you can see that that would also fit roughly with what I've been saying about the time that we're moving up. Maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later. Bilo.
It's really nice, Pumpy. It's excellent work. I have to just tell everybody something that in trading, there's something called fractal trading. And fractals trading is a fancy term for look for a pattern that repeats itself and trade that pattern. And that's essentially what Pumpeye just did. And it takes time, it takes effort to make it all fit and work. So I just wanted to congratulate Pumpeye for this chart. Really nice chart.
Thanks, bro. So we did want to know whether some of you had, Bilo, I don't know whether you want to share a different chart. Maybe we could have a look at what's been doing well. Do you know what Coty has been doing well? Let's have a look at Coty, Bilo.
Love Coty, but just before we do, with the past Wyckoff, if you brought that Wyckoff pattern down to map the start point of where the current Wyckoff, which looks like a current Wyckoff is, that would give you a more accurate area of where this Wyckoff price would finish, would it not?
Okay, 2 seconds. I've moved it up on purpose just to allow for people to be able to see it more clearly, so it's not interrupting.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking for the green waves, because people are going, oh, it's going to go to 53 at that, but actually if you bring it down, then that shows where it's going to top out just below 50 odd, and we're still going to hit. Oh, look at that! That's going about 38,000. What you've been on about there, Bilo.
Yeah. Now you've got to bear in mind that with this overlay, look, you can manipulate the size of it, so it's not necessarily.
Story of my life.
Yeah, it's not going to necessarily be absolutely bang on to.
No, it won't be, but it's more of an indicative view, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that for me really tells a story of what you've mapped there. So that's really good, and I will be following it. Thank you.
Cool. I'll make sure to post it in the TA channel for everybody to be able to see it, and I'll keep everybody updated on it. So Bilo, if you want to share your chart now,
sure.
You can go to
Thanks,
Coty. You're welcome.
You want me to look up Coty? Okay.
For anybody that doesn't know what Coty is, it's currency of the internet.
That was women's stuff.
What, currency of the internet? What, purchases?
Something to buy handbags with.
Okay.
Oh, that's my credit card.
I mean, yeah, we see that there's a very clean looking head and shoulders here. Inverse head and shoulders, excuse me. Targeting $0.87. Let's do some waves. So this would be the bottom. This would be the start of the wave. This would be, so this would be wave 1. This would be wave 2. Okay, let's just put this together. 1, 2, 3, somewhere there, 4, 5. Let's make some projections and see if we have any confluences. So I'm looking for wave 3 to be at 1.618, which is right here. So target is pretty close. So let's just say that wave 3 target is somewhere here. And that wave 5 is somewhere here. That's what I'd be looking for, looking very quickly. That's what I'd be looking for. Now, if we dive a bit deeper and we want to see what's happening in the current waves, I don't necessarily like the way this looks. This looks like an ending wave diagonal. So ending wave diagonal, if we call looking at Bitcoin, ends up looking nasty. So this is definitely an ending wave diagonal. And I'll put some numbers on that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is gonna drop, guys. I would be shorting it here. And we see it here too. We see it here too. My prediction is we're gonna drop. And actually here on, what do you call this? Market cipher B, we have a red dot, which also means it's a sell. So very quickly, without knowing much about the project, it's FA, never done a TA on this. If I had a gun to my head and I was told long or short, I'd be shorting right now. But again, this is just a, it's a short-term short. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be wave 5. And now we'd be doing our ABC. I don't think we'll make it up here, guys. I think this is really the top of wave 3 right here. Given what I just saw, I'm going to rechange what I did. And I think we're going to drop.
Well, Bilo, that actually fits
the top
with what I just...
wave
Sorry to interrupt you. That actually fits quite well with what I just said about that Bitcoin might possibly be about to come down a little bit more to create a little bit more pain before going up to that next peak. Just a thought.
Yeah, sure. I just want to give you a target for the drop. Yeah. So I would want to see it. I would want to see it. I think it'll drop to basically just above this line here. About here. So the target for a short, guys, if anybody wants to short, not financial advice, is about 51 cents.
Nice.
That depends if the FA that comes out when JED is released, which will be the stable coin for ADA, and the smart contracts actually work for ADA, might flip that.
Yeah, of course. FA. I mean, if something really good comes out FA wise, of course, this is meaningless.
I love that. Then this means
It's
absolutely nothing.
Everything is correct until it's not.
Yeah.
Indeed. All models are true until they're broken. Okay. Bilo,
yeah.
Unless you have anything further to add on it, then how about
on that one? No.
How about having a look at BNB?
I haven't looked at that one in a while.
Are you looking for some spare rooms?
The top one will be alright. BNB. Oh no, it's perpetual future.
Okay, BNB. So I'll start off with a retracement just to see what happened to BNB. So we did a few fake outs below 618, came back up.
Can you do me a favor, Bilo? Can you just
Sure.
change the retracement tool to mine?
To yours.
Yeah, I just want to see something.
Okay.
Look at that. Absolutely perfectly on the 705. So, for anybody who hasn't listened before, I did a Forex course, and one of the things that I learned was that quite often, if you do go past the 618, then the absolute ideal entry point for a trade would be the 705. And we've literally bounced off exactly on the 705. The first time we've come back and we've met the 382, 38.2, and then we've come back down. We've met it again, and nearly come back up to the 0.5. Sorry, I was just intrigued because I thought that looked
No
like
worries.
roughly the 705.
Yeah, nice, good observation. Okay, so this was the ABC double bottom. Target of the double bottom right now isn't working out too well, but let's call this a double bottom target and move this up. So we were looking to go here. Now this is a BC, so starting wave here. So we would go with a 1, 2, 3, 4, but see, that's the problem now. So in Elliott wave theory, one of the biggest rules is wave 4 can never go and cannot go below wave 1 in an uptrend, and can go above wave 1 in a downtrend. But there is an exception in leverage markets. In leverage markets, it can happen, and only because of the reason I gave earlier, which is in leverage markets, you can have these flash crashes because of liquidations. So in this case, we've gone below wave 1, which in a traditional unleveraged market, you wouldn't ever go below wave 1, or else you have a bad wave count and you have to start over. So because this is BNB is obviously leveraged, we could still say that it's a valid wave count, but it's not as easy to interpret. So if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 5 would remain unchanged. It would still be the top of this as the best case scenario. And if we do an extension of wave 1 to 2, just to see where the waves end up. So we see that wave 3 went beyond the 618, went up above 2. Wave 4 went down below here. The fact that it retraced that much, and we do a retracement from 3 to 4. I'll change the color so we can see.
That's the biggest I've ever seen your chart, Bilo.
So, like I was saying earlier, guys, if you're below 618, I would short it here and then see what happens. If it makes it back up, I would short it around these levels. And again, you always want to look for confluence, and the confluence in this case, I mean, look, let me just extend this rectangle, if I can grab it. The confluence, as you can see here, we have these wicks. So this is a zone that we will most likely not make it through right away. And this is another zone here, not because of Fibonacci at all, but because we had some price action in this area, and you can see it extends over to here too. So there's a lot of resistance going up if you look at it from a price action perspective. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want me to look at with this.
Cool.
I don't think
I was actually just looking at charts that that I saw were actually doing all right today, considering the movements of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anybody else that would like a chart particularly looking at. That would be great. Otherwise, we could run through. I'll tell you what had a bit of a drop recently, Bilo, that had been doing pretty well, was PCX. Maybe we could have a look at PCX. I know there's quite a few PCX fans in the group, so.
And hold it.
Indeed.
I think I have it here somewhere.
It's on my list if it's not on yours.
No, it's right here.
That's
Hold on.
quite flat. So PCX is quite flat.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. This is just for DJ.
That was a nice pump as well. I mean, it's still nowhere near my buy, but
So look, the only thing I could say here for now is this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is good support, and
yeah, really good support.
happens to be 618 of this wave up. Okay, so we've gone above, but if you look at this wave right here, this support happens to be at 618 of this primary wave 1, for whatever it's worth. A drop below here would not be nice. It would not be good.
You're telling me?
Nah.
I'm
No.
at like 30% on this. No, not quite.
Yeah.
Not quite.
We did have a
I
nice
could have
pump.
traded it, but I've got it sat in a nice vault on a node doing the business and making me more money.
Wow, you're making a lot of money.
So where do you think we're
And
going?
this is one.
Sorry?
This will follow. I was going to say this one follows BTC quite well by factors. So in BTC pumps, this goes up by like sometimes times 10 of what BTC is pumping in percentage terms. So everybody bear that in mind. But when BTC dumps or goes down as it currently is, it goes down higher percentages.
Can you say bear one more time?
Bear, bear, bear.
So last week, guys, I made a call on Mover. I was very happy with it, and then it all went to shit. So we moved.
Bitcoin destroyed my dreams.
I got it up
Brilliant.
all the way to wave 3, and then yeah, I mean Bitcoin, and I don't know, man. I was disappointed to see this. I was very happy to see the this bullish wedge, beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. We're out. It's still okay. The numbers kind of they still work.
What's
In the
that
sense
little
that-
yellow fizzle underneath it?
This here, I have no clue. I think it's a sign from the gods that it's a bottom. I don't know. I didn't do it.
It wasn't me walking the dog.
Oh, there you go. They're gone.
What was it?
So I have no clue,
The
bro.
world's smallest Fibonacci retracement. It was
Yeah.
a Fibonacci retracement on the 1 second chart.
Anyway, so by the looks of this was a full cycle all the way to here, and this is the correction, and it's not over. It does not look like it's over. What time frame am I in? 4 hours. Candle's still pretty short, and we're going below the wick. Just doesn't look good right now, unfortunately. Yep. So
Damn.
the only
Bitcoin, eh?
thing that will save this right now is this volume bar staying low.
Yeah.
If it does, we should have a nice bounce because there's a lot of wicks in this region.
Bilo, can you put the market cipher A on?
Yeah, sure. So just want to say, okay, guys, you see all these wicks? This could save it. Okay, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Market
there's not a lot
cipher.
of support under there, is there?
Market cipher A. Eesh. Why?
I wondered whether there'd be a blood diamond there. That was why I asked.
Good movie.
It is a very good movie.
I mean, then we've got that element of the fact that it's already come down quite a bit, so it's not necessarily that it's going to come down loads more. I mean, I'm crossing fingers
Pumpy.
for anybody that's in Moon River.
Explain this green dot here to me, please.
That's
Right where it comes.
the blue triangle followed by the green dot is actually a sign of weakness. It's a sign that the trend's weakening. So it's
Okay.
not a green dot in the sense of go and buy it. So
Thanks for calling me. Tell me that.
if you'd have asked, I could have told you this quite a long time ago.
He was selling his bags to you.
Ay, 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 ay.
I mean, you know
Anyway,
what? That actually looks a little bit like an accumulation cycle. Anyway, it doesn't necessarily look like we're in a downward spiral as such.
no, it's not a downward spiral. I mean, look at the market. It's not. It really isn't. It's just I really thought this beautiful, perfect wave count, not my wave count. I mean, I'm just saying like the actual that it. These waves are like excellent waves. They're like just they follow all the theory that we're done and we broke out of a wedge and yeah, but then Bitcoin had to, yeah. Enough about me. Oh look, we're getting a tweezer bottom.
Can we have a look at KDA?
Oh yeah, it's on my list. It's a good time to buy KDA, guys. Jesus Christ, look at the price. Wow. I'm buying KDA as soon as I hang
We've
up.
got
I'm just letting
manipulation
you all
there.
know. I'm buying it as soon as we hang up. I don't care if it goes down more. Not financial advice. NFA, BYOR.
well, it definitely isn't financial advice if you say not if it goes down more anyway. You're still buying it.
I'm buying. Talking for myself. Look at all these diamonds. I'm buying. I've never seen so many diamonds. What'd you do?
So I do
Oh
find
my
that these
Lord.
are more accurate on the 4 hour and over, just to
Okay.
save your sanity, Bilo.
Can I take them? Can I take MicroCipher off now because it's just depressing me? Thanks. I feel better now.
Although, actually, if you look at Market Cipher B, and you'll see at the bottom
Yeah.
there, you've got a local bottom call. So actually, by the looks of it, especially as it's on the 4 hour, this would be a very good buying time.
I'm just telling you. I'm not even kidding. I know there's a blood diamond. I know all that, but I'm buying it. I'm telling you, I'm buying it because this is bottomed out. This is bottomed out. Let's see how much we've retraced down.
Is that the perfect technical target of that triangle?
Look, Pumpy, we're at your 705, bro. Look.
There you go.
We're at your 7. I'll be right back, guys.
No. That's not the 705. That is the 65.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's the 65.
Oh, 6.5. Oh, 6.5. Damn. Okay.
It's got room to go down more.
Okay.
I'm only joking. That is a very good buying time, in my opinion.
It is. I mean, yeah. Guys, like, I'm not kidding. Okay? I mean, please don't do it because I'm saying it, but I'm not kidding. I'm gonna buy.
So
even if it goes
for those
down.
of you who don't know anything about KDA, I suggest that you go and do a bit of research on the project itself, because it's at some point it's going to be really, really big, in my opinion.
KDA is on Qcoin, right?
It's what? Sorry?
Qcoin. Yeah, Qcoin.
Yeah, it is on Qcoin, yeah. Okay. How about... Actually, can you do a wave count for me?
Matic.
Go for it. That was Matic, wasn't it?
It was Polygon for new people, but Matic, yeah.
I'm a little busy.
Still do the wave count, yeah. But the next one, Matic, please.
I'm a little busy.
You were busy buying.
I'm a little busy doing something.
I'll tell you what. Link at $22.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good buying price as well. But yeah, Bilo, if you could look at Matic then for
fine, I'll buy some. I'll buy it here.
and afterwards, could you do a wave count for me on Seller Network, as Elliott Wave is not something I'm au fait with, other than what I've learnt from you, the master.
Yeah. Okay. I wish. Matic.
Is that the 618 that we've hit of that drop? and then come back down, Bilo.
This is like a very nice curve.
Yeah. We are currently bang on it. Now, do me a favor and just zoom out a little bit, and check the drop from the high, and see where we are. Yeah, so we weren't too far away from the 618 before we came back down. Okay, thanks.
This was
I was just intrigued.
this is not organic here. This
No.
is just Bitcoin dumping. I bet you anything. What is this date? September 5th? Is that when Bitcoin dumped?
Yeah, and remember it's linked to ETH. So where Bitcoin was dumping because of ETH, this is very ETH linked because it's a layer 2 or layer 2-ish, and that's why it will then be an exponential of that.
September the 7th, Bitcoin had that major drop, that first major drop.
Okay, but this happened September the 5th. What happened September the 5th?
Nothing, we were going up.
Okay, so I was wrong.
What happened to
Unless it
ETH?
was- Unless this was just a small retrace on the way, because this is a clear wave up here, and then this was just a retracement. And here it's September 7th, the major
Okay.
drop.
Yeah.
It is September.
Yeah, your candles are just that small on your miniature charts that you couldn't tell which date was it.
My candle size are not. It's not my fault. That's how. You know what? There's nothing I can do about it. Okay.
Is it cold?
I really like them bigger, but I'm sorry.
Is your candle cold? It's cold. I'm shorting.
What else, guys? Seller.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you to do a wave count on, actually, because it's seen a bit of downwards action now.
So this was my previous wave count. This is an ABC, and we started a new cycle.
I was looking on the 4 hour, to be fair.
Okay, but it doesn't change the wave count. But okay. So this is what I had predicted for wave 5. This is what happened. We did an ABC, and this is a new cycle now. We're in a new cycle.
Yeah.
So the old one is done. Let's move this to where it actually ended. Or sorry, not here. I'm wrong.
Can you just maximize that the pane where the candles are, so we don't see the RSI and everything else?
Sure. But I needed to do my counts.
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough.
One. Yeah, I think my wave count is wrong actually, because if this was wave 5, I would have expected a much deeper retracement, because if this was the top of wave 5, it's what's referred to as a truncated wave 5. And a truncated, meaning a short wave 5, usually ends with a bang, with a very hard retracement. And we didn't have a hard retracement here. So this couldn't have been the top of wave 5. My count was wrong. So if this is 3, let me just redo this. My count is no good. My count is no good. It's not often you meet a man that admits when he was wrong.
Haven't met the man yet.
2, 3, 4. Maybe this. Now I zoom in a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that makes more sense. And even there, you see, yeah, that makes more sense. So now we're going to be doing this. We're still in A. This is A. Then you're going to have a B. Then you have a C.
Okay, but that's good to know, because in that case, as we come up, I might well. Oh, do you know what? That makes sense with the Bitcoin chart as well. If you think back to the pattern that the Bitcoin chart was at, based on the line chart that I shared, then.
But hold on, there's a buy on.
Oh yeah.
On.
But you're only on the 1 hour chart, so it's not necessarily a long term thing. If there's a buy signal on the 4 hour as well, Bilo, then it could, which there isn't because I'm looking at the 4 hour chart on my screen.
Okay.
Then you could consider it to be a fairly substantial bottom. But if that's A, and if we've potentially reached the bottom of A now, then as Bitcoin comes up in this next part of the supposed Wyckoff reaccumulation that I shared, then we could come up and that be B within this chart, and then as we come back down again, that would create C. Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So actually, if we say the 618, which is what you've drawn to, what's that? 17 cents. I think I might well set a sell order and sell at 17, and then reaccumulate at the bottom to gain some more coins.
This is actually very feasible.
Yeah.
As a support zone.
You should snapshot that one and then bring it back.
Yeah.
Do
you know what?
It'll stay here.
Let me just. I'm just going to. I've just taken a snapshot of your screen.
Well, we have videos, no? Every week what we discuss, you can go back and check it.
Easier reference point.
Yeah.
And once you've done with this, if you could have a look at Luna, because I know you were so excited about that the other day.
Yeah, it was beautiful last week, the chart. Let me see. Luna. Is it here or on the other one? I think it's on the other one. Here it is. Holy moly, what did I do? What's all this? I guess I was in the zone. What's this X? X marks the spot. DJ, do you remember what I did here?
Oh crap, not by that, no. I don't remember us drawing that.
Okay. I'm just gonna clean it up a bit because I have no clue what I did. We had this call Sunday, right? It was Sunday. And Sunday was the 25th of September. 25th. So we were here. We were still here. So I said 1, 2, 3. Okay, I don't know what these other lines were, but okay. So between waves 2 and 3, we're gonna have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no. Okay, wave 3, 4. Okay. I see what I was doing. Okay. I see what I was doing. This was 3. This was 4. Okay, let me just fix this. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this. Okay, now it makes more sense. So we finished wave 3. This was the target for wave 4, or not the target, but the support, because we were here as I was doing it. So this already happened. And so I made the assumption that this would be a 1, and then somewhere here would be a 2, because I see a cluster. So let's say we find support here, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. And then I probably would have done this. And that is why 3 is here, because it's just under the 1.618. And that's why 5 should have been here between the 1.618 and the 2.618. Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. So I would like to see a bounce at $31. We're at 33.60 now. It doesn't mean that we have to go to 31, but if we do, I would like to see a bounce at around $31. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pick more up.
Let me just see the other indicators, what they're saying.
Dave, have you got like bottomless pockets?
No, I just flip a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing really that speaks up on the.
But there is a lot of FA for everybody coming out for the lunar area, so I'd encourage everybody to read up on it.
I spoke too soon. There is bullish divergence right now on the hourly. Very nice, strong bullish divergence on the hourly. Let me see what we see on the 4 hours. Yeah, there is some bullish divergence on the 4 hours as well. Not as strong as on the hourly. But you see this hammer here? There's another 2.5 hours to go. This hammer could turn into a nice green dildo.
So that's a warm candle.
Is that to make up for your short candle earlier?
Yeah. Balance, harmony, justice. Guys, I talk about this every week. I'm doing my part of community service here. Do not forget to buy DOT every time it dips and to participate in the Polkadot Parachain auctions, because it's free money, guys. You just here goes my candle. It's free money. You lock up your DOT. If you believe in DOT long term, you have no reason to worry about locking it up. And you get free tokens in return for supporting your favorite projects. Just a reminder, they're coming up. Don't miss it. I don't have really much more unless anybody else wants to say, oh, I do have something else. Crypto quant. Bitcoin.
I'm glad you said that right.
Huh?
I'm glad you said that right.
Only a dirty mind would get it. So I find this to be interesting, bullish, with the caveat that I don't have a subscription that gives me the latest information. This here ends on September 25th, 26th, 27th, and we are the 29th. So it's 2 days old. But as Bitcoin is going down, as we see Bitcoin going down, we also see spot reserves going down. Now, spot reserves, for those of you that don't know, are the amount of Bitcoin stored on exchanges. And when Bitcoin is on an exchange, it can easily be sold. And popular theory has it that when Bitcoin reserves drop, meaning Bitcoin is leaving exchanges, it's bullish and Bitcoin should or is about to go up. And once Bitcoin comes onto an exchange, it comes onto an exchange to be sold. The counter argument to this is you also need Bitcoin to long the market. You can long the market with Bitcoin instead of with USDT. But the most popular belief, and the one that seems to fit the most backtesting, is when Bitcoin comes onto an exchange, price drops. When Bitcoin goes off an exchange, price goes up. Unless there's manipulation, meaning that people, sales, institutions want you to believe one thing when in fact they're up to something else. But looking at this from an innocent perspective without any conspiracy theories, it's interesting and quite bullish that as the price is coming down, Bitcoin reserves are coming down. This usually will signify that we're near a local bottom or that there is no worry in the market for further down movement. And so people get their exchange, Bitcoin off the exchange. And by people, I mean the bigger guys, right? And so they're not really worried about a drop, and that's a bullish thing in and of itself.
Salute.
I can't hear who just said something, but I heard something.
It's MRX. What's up?
Oh, you're like in a tunnel.
Maybe because of my headset.
I can't hear you, bro.
If you could shout
Now,
Memorex, that would be great.
um,
That's much better.
have you took a look on the Bitcoin hash rate over the last few months? Maybe this
Miner?
chart. The hash rate.
Miner?
The
Hash
miner
rate?
hash rate. Yes, sir.
Hold on. Let me just find it.
I had a discussion yesterday with Anatoly.
You spoke with Anatoly.
We were chatting, yes.
That's like me saying I was chatting with my grocer. Everybody, just for everybody that knows, Anatoly is the founder and CEO of Solana.
I'm talking about it because after the China bans, you saw a massive drop in the hash rate, and we formed conspiracy theories like it could be attempt to do a 51% attack on the Bitcoin network, because after those massive drops, you've seen China taking away the miner machines, but you don't know what they've done with them. So maybe it's interesting to look at the miner.
I don't seem to have the hash rates on. Is it on CryptoQuant or on Glassnode?
You can just Google it.
Okay, 1 second. By the
Just
way,
remember to clear your history.
when the China thing happened, all these mining machines were actually getting sold on the open market. I didn't know that Chinese government. I didn't know that there was a theory that the Chinese government was acquiring that equipment. It's the first time I hear that.
Yeah, it was good for some of the miners that I'm invested in directly as well, because the hash rate drops, the output of BTC that they're able to produce increased, so they actually started hoarding more.
The hash rate dropped because they were 65%, I think it was, of the world's mining occurred in China, and they all had to, pick up and move somewhere else or sell their equipment, and that's why it dropped. And anyway, so so it's picking up, right? That's what. Is that what you wanted me to show, MRX? Hello?
Is that roughly the 618 of the drop?
Let's analyze BTC.
I'll tell you what, that's not far off, is it?
Oh my God.
So I only actually see things in percentages these days.
Yeah.
So I've actually just in our chat, I've actually just highlighted a post that I put up probably about a week ago now, and it shows who holds all the Bitcoin. And interestingly, the top two holders of Bitcoin are the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and then straight after them is the Chinese government. So while we're
Really?
getting all of this FUD saying that China are banning Bitcoin, which, to be fair, they could be banning Bitcoin for their citizens, because let's face it, the Chinese government are quite totalitarian and want to control their citizens and probably keep them poor. The Chinese government Bitcoin holdings stand at 194,775 Bitcoin.
Wow.
So there is a mix, though, isn't there? Because a lot of that is actually seized.
Oh, is it? I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of that. So
Don't you
Same as
love
the US
contradicted
ones
life?
as well.
Don't you love getting contradicted live, Pumpy?
yeah, I love it. So the
No, he's right in the holding. It's just how they got it.
yeah. So the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Well, do you know what? The fact that they've seized it and that's part of their holdings says it all, really, in some respects, doesn't it? We're banning Bitcoin, but we'll have yours, thank you. That would be great, and we're going to keep them because that's better for us. So yeah, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust stands at 653,632 Bitcoin, and then it's the Chinese government. Then Block 1, which is a private company, own 164,000. Then Wrapped BTC stands at 156,944, and the US government is straight after that with 70,124. So
I think CoinShare is in there as well, isn't it?
Sorry?
CoinShare, which is the European ETF, they also hold. They're in the top 10, I think, as well.
Yeah, straight after that is MicroStrategy.
So, MRX, you gonna leave us hanging? What else did Anatoly tell you? How's he doing? What did you have for breakfast today?
ETH.
Solana.
No, that was good.
I have Solana pizza.
Salami. So yeah, you just said about coin shares. So MicroStrategy were next with where are we? 92,079 Bitcoin. Then Celsius 82,243, and then coin shares, as you said, which are 55,703.
And you know, we were on about my long-term bags.
Yep.
That's where they're in.
Then we've got
Cool.
Tim Draper is next on the list by himself, just one person at 31,656, which is $1.74 billion worth of Bitcoin. One person.
You said that by Dr. Evil.
$1.74 billion. Then we've got Tesla after that at number 10. So it just goes to show, actually, that these people who are presenting us with FUD, quite often it's the people that own the most that are presenting this FUD and that are trying to make out like Bitcoin's a bad thing, or there's something wrong with Bitcoin and it needs to be adjusted, like Tesla, for example, saying that it needs to be the mining needs to be a lot more green.
Yeah. I think what it shows as well is there is a hell of a lot more room for institutional investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll resend that link to the chat so that if anybody wants to have a look and are interested, then they can.
Please do.
There you go. Right.
I
Well,
tweeted something 2 days ago. Just funny that you were just saying what you were just saying. I tweeted something 2 days ago. I wrote, "What's the best way to own a scarce resource? Convince others it's not worth much and scare them into selling it to you at discount prices. Easy, right?" Yeah.
it is if you've got enough money and if you've got the right resources to get news pushed out there.
Yeah. All right. You want to wrap it up, Pumpy?
Yeah. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. We will be back next Wednesday at the same time. So if you could spare the time in your diary again, then we will be live on our usual Zoom meetings and also on YouTube, where you can join us and you can ask us for any charts that you want us to look at. Those of you who haven't actually spoken, if you want to ask us for specific charts, if there's something that you want us to have a look at, maybe you've been doing some charting yourself and you want confirmation of whether what you've been looking at is correct, or if you don't really have any idea of TA and you want to have a look at a chart, then just holler. Once we get to this point of the meeting, it's perfectly fine for you to speak up and ask us for a chart. I know that there's a guy called Philip Samuel who's currently in the meeting. He asks me a lot of questions privately in our DMs. You're more than welcome to ask us for charts. We're wrapping it up now, but next week it would be great if you do speak up and ask for things. It is
Thank you, guys. We're happy for you to join us, and hope to see you next time. We would appreciate the support on YouTube, Twitter, and join us in our TA channel in Crypto Society. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good week.
Cheers.